Make sure you're getting enough signal. Check, check, check. Test 1, 2, test 1, 2. Hello there, General Kenobi. That should be like the universal response by now, because you guys, okay, good, good. Hi, Sean. It's good to see you. Lauren's like, why is he looking at me and calling me Sean? No. Friends, it's a delight to be back here with you. Are we recording already, Mr. No, I already left the chair. Okay, good, perfect. Do you guys remember what we talked about the last time I was here? Hey! Yes! Okay. Well, that should work. Huh? Ah. Oh. Put it in my pocket?
No, just clip it on the little pocket.
Oh, clip it on. I see what you're doing here, Trent. That's the wrong way, though.
She said it first, you said it louder.
Okay. Yeah. We'll stop mansplaining. Okay, wait. But this is. There we go. Oh, it does work. That works so nicely. Wow.
It's magnetic too.
Yeah, it is. Oh, okay. Bruh, this is not convenient. We're gonna, whoo! Thank you. Yeah, I do see that. Thank you. Whoa, someone had to write a lot of things. Or decided to write a lot of things.
It's the same song like 60 times.
Yeah. I'm on a roll this morning. I am on a roll. Okay.
What? Oh, dude, I didn't see your foot, Trisha. I just saw this.
I did too. I was like,
Can you change that?
That's really blinding. Here we go.
oh, sorry. My bad.
I got you, Zach. Okay. You're like a blank canvas. Yes, it's beautiful. We were working through Genesis at like Mach, 10 last time, trying to get to where I wanted to go. Today we are going to resume. I would like to talk about the story of Joseph, but applying both waha'o, and do you guys remember the other thing we talked about last time? We were talking about, we called them motifs and themes and hyperlinks. You guys remember those? Dun 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 dun. Yeah, exactly. So, I want you guys to walk with me that way. We're going to start today. Where are we going to start today? There are a few places we could start today. No, let's not start there. That would take so long. That would be so fun, but it would take so long. Okay, we're going to start today, probably in Genesis chapter 37. And what I want you guys to do with me is we are going to talk about the story of Joseph, but I would like to, my goal is to get to the end of chapter 39 today. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. We're going to try, and if we don't, we'll just come back to it next time. It'll be great. But starting in chapter 37, verse 1, and what I would like you guys to do is I would like you to turn on waha'o and the hyperlink tracker in your head, and we're going to start writing these hyperlinks and themes down that you guys notice as we're reading through Genesis chapter 37. Okay? And this is not like at this point, it's not like it needs to be a specific, like hyperlinks, yes, it needs to be a specific word. Themes, all of a sudden, if you see a theme, just be like, whoa, hold on. There's a theme there that has been mentioned elsewhere, because the themes hyperlink between each other, and the motifs hyperlink between each other. So you, try and be aware of those, and if you see one, point it out. I'm going to try to not point them out for you at the beginning, and as we go, you're going to start seeing more and more where this story of Joseph is really just a culmination of, all of the stories you had been reading through Genesis leading up to this point. So if you remember any of the other stories of Genesis and you're like, wait a minute, that sounds like, say it. Don't hold that one in. Be like, hold on, John, Enns, whatever you want to call me, dude, person, some girl from Shoreline last night started calling me that kid. My name was that kid last night. I've never been called that kid before. That was ridiculous. Person, you, hey, wait. So, whether it's a motif, a theme, or a hyperlink, let's actually put those up here. Motif. I don't have this list like cognizantly in my brain. We're just making this up as we go along, but it's going to show up everywhere. Just wait. Theme. Hyperlink. Do you guys remember the difference between three? It's just so you're aware, so that when we're reading through, you're like, wait. Okay. A hyperlink is when a word matches another word from earlier, right? And you're like, wait a second, they already talked about this once, and they mentioned it over and over and over again. That's a hyperlink, right? A theme is when you see this thing, this pattern that happened. Tim Mackey likes to call them design patterns. So if you ever see a podcast about design patterns, like go listen to it because it will blow your freaking minds. It's so cool. And motifs are like when you put a whole bunch of design patterns together and you're like, wait a minute, all of these things are all interconnected. And at that point, you guys know those memes where it's like, someone has like a brain exploding idea and then all of a sudden you're at the point where like the universe is exploding inside someone's brain. You guys know the memes I'm talking about? Yes? That's a motif. Okay. I'm going to read from an actual physical Bible today. And hopefully, we'll get to read from this one too at some point in time. Genesis chapter 37. I'm reading out of the NASB. What I would very much like for you guys to do is read out of a different translation that you prefer. The right answer for what kind of Bible is the right kind of Bible to read is pick the one you read. Yeah, exactly. Dane's gotten to you first, I see. Dane, yeah, all of them. Okay, starting in verse 1. Now Jacob lived in the land where his father had sojourned, in the land of Canaan.
It's the same land as where he lived before.
Okay. These are the records of the generations of Jacob. These first two verses, like I would like to express to you that words that are hyperlinks that we could have seen thus far through the passage of Genesis are land. Like land is just a, which one is that? 770. I don't know which one that is off the top of my head. Land. And you're like, land? That's a hyperlink? The author of Genesis doesn't have to bring up a land unless he wants to bring up a land. Yes, Nick.
I don't know if this is any of those three, but why is Jacob being called Jacob when he already had his name changed?
Thank you. Why is Jacob being called Jacob if he already has his name changed?
I have no idea.
So, what I want you guys to notice is that everything is a clue. Not like, oh, they're just recapping information. They don't recap information unless they want you to remember something important, right? So, Jacob got his name changed. He actually got his name changed twice. He got his name changed in chapter 31, 32, 33, like that section where he's like dealing with like, holy crap, Esau's coming, I'm going to die. And then he wrestles with God, right? And God's like, hey, your name's different. And then in chapter 35, they're like wandering through the countryside because they're like trying not to die because they just all went and murdered a whole bunch of people in the land of Shechem. And Jacob's like, hey, you got to put your idols away. And then a terror took over the land. There's a whole bunch of hyperlinks through there. And God renames Jacob Israel again. And you're like, didn't you already do that? Why is it twice? Doing things twice is a theme. God does things twice all the time. But now, the author's calling him Jacob again. Why not Israel? Maybe. So here's the next thing. And this is something that's a little challenging. It was super challenging for me the first time I heard it. When you see something and you're like, why would they do that? And you don't have an answer for that, someone's going to have an answer for that somewhere. It might not be the only answer that fits. Hebrew meditation literature is not something that's like, in most places, it's not something where the one answer is the only answer and will ever and only ever be the only answer. It's something that's meant to be pondered and meditated on and regurgitated, and then, okay, now let's digest that part and that possible way we can read it. And then you're going to read something else later on in Hebrew meditation literature, and it's to be like, wait a minute, now I have to go back and read that. Okay, I guess I have to go back and read the other thing. There's a whole new way to read this section. Whoa. And the themes and the motifs that you read change how you see the passages that you go through. Which is why when we read the Bible, and you're like, I can just keep reading it and it keeps popping out with new things. That's why it happens, because you see these things happen and it changes how you read previous things or future things. But that's getting into the space-time continuum. We won't talk about that today. Land, but then also father sojourning. Like, sojourning is a theme. I don't think I spelled that quite correctly, but that's okay. It's sojourned, E-E-D, yeah. What'd you say? Oh, no, sorry, it's a hyperlink. Yeah. There are several times, so it's not just, Jacob's not the only one that went sojourning, right? Who was the first sojourner?
Abraham.
Thank you. Who was the second sojourner? Isaac. Yeah? He sojourned too.
A family thing.
It's a family theme. Oh, These hyperlinks are pointing towards something. Okay. Now, do you guys remember any other places where they say, these are the generations of so-and-so?
Everywhere.
It's all over the place. Huh. It's like this is, and usually they put that at a place where you're like, why are they putting this here? It's because, so if you look in chapter 36, right, the first verse of chapter 36, what does it say? Oh, interesting. There's going to be a place where it says, now these are the generations of Isaac. There's going to be a place where it says, now these are the generations of Abraham. These are the generations of Noah. These are the generations of Joseph comes later. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of places, right? There's themes all the way through that, and what they're trying to do is get you to compare each one to the previous one and the one before that. How many of you guys like Western movies? Anybody? Yes, Westerns? Okay. Imagine aliens come to Earth. Maybe you guys have heard this analogy before. And they find in the Earth archives a whole pile of Western movies. On film, not digital, just like old reels of Western films. And in the first Western film, this Wild West man comes into town, and he's got a 6-shooter, and there's a bad guy, and there's a girl that's in trouble, or the town's in trouble, and he's got to fight the bad guy and use his 6-shooter to win the day. But there's like 12 more Westerns. What are some themes you're going to see in all the rest of the Westerns? Some guy's going to wander into town with a 6-shooter, but you get to the 12th one, and the aliens are like, okay, well, it should just be this. And the guy shows up with a shotgun. And you're like, wait a minute. How is he going to win? You can't shoot a shotgun as fast as you shoot a 6-shooter. He's going to die. What's going to happen? But you know that the theme of Westerns almost always are, nah, the guy's going to win somehow. We just got to figure out how he's going to do it. Right? That is Hebrew meditation literature in a nutshell. Like, you're going to see these themes running over and over and over again. And then something is going to get slightly changed. And you're like, how does it change the plot? How does it change how everything goes? And you're going to have to, oftentimes they're not going to tell you this was good or this was bad or like this was important. They're just going to say things and expect you to like meditate on it. So that's what we got to do. Okay, moving onward. Sorry, we just only got through the first 2 verses. We're in a hurry. Joseph was 17 years of age and was pasturing the flock with his brothers while he was still a youth, along with the sons of Bilhah. What?
David?
Yeah, David. Who else has been pasturing a flock just in the book of Genesis? Jacob has. Who else?
One of the first two brothers.
Yep. Yep. Abel was a man of the flock. Who else? So Jacob wasn't the original of the people like in his family that pastured a flock. Who did he happen upon that he rescued from, like, his wife was pasturing a flock, right? There's all these pastured a flock hyperlinks. So, flocks. There's hyperlinks there. Along with the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought back a bad report about them to their father.
Wives.
Ooh, wives. Thank you. Do you guys remember the first situation where there were wives in the Bible? Did we talk about that last time?
The guy who, like, directly descended from Cain.
Yes. Lamech. He's a terrible human being, right? But there's this theme of, as soon as you see wives in the book of Genesis, there is problems, big problems. Why?
Shouldn't have wives.
Yeah, you shouldn't have wives. You should have a wife if you're going to have a wife. Esau also had, like, there's so many hyperlinks in wives. But the first one's Lamech, and you're supposed to think, oh, okay. We still have to remember that's happening. Okay. 3. Now Israel loves Joseph. Wait, pause. I want to go back to Nick's question. Yeah, what happened? We switched from Jacob to Israel in the span of 3 verses. What are they doing? Why are they doing that? I'm not going to answer that here. We just got to keep moving on. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his sons. I would like to pause and say that that is a theme.
Jacob and Esau.
Yeah, loved more than, right? Do you guys remember any other stories other than Jacob and Esau where someone was loved more than someone else was? In Genesis. Abel and Cain. Well, no, God picked Abel's offering but didn't pick Cain's. That's not loved more than, right? But it's a similar theme, yes. Isaac and Ishmael.
Would like Seth and Cain work?
Yeah. There's the whole thing through there. What about Hagar and Sarai? Yes. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of themes of like people being loved more than one than the other.
Rebecca and
Rachel and Leah. Rachel and Leah. Yep. That, like, are you seeing how these themes are working? And all of a sudden, like in 3 verses, we've pointed back at how many different things? And we're supposed to be like connecting all the dots in between them as we go.
we only went backwards and we went backwards.
So what I would like you to be willing to do in this instance, just for this time, what I would like you to do is see that just alone in the book of Genesis, we've already got so many hyperlinks. I don't think the author of Genesis was intentionally trying to hyperlink forward, but I do think the other people that wrote stuff after Genesis were trying to hyperlink backwards to Genesis. Does that make sense? And you can go read scholarly articles on that, or a whole bunch, like there's so much research you can do on that that we could talk about later if you would like. But yes, you're totally welcome to do it forward. But know that I don't think Genesis was trying to do it forward. It's kind of the supposedly at least the first book. We'll talk about that some other time too. So, because he was the son of his old age.
There's other sons of old age.
Isn't that interesting? We like every sentence we get to is all hyperlinks. It's like we can't even get through a sentence and find something that's not a hyperlink, right? And he made him a varicolored tunic. Now, I don't think we've ever heard a varicolored tunic before in Genesis. But there are situations where people get clothing.
In many colors.
Yeah. Yep. Like Adam and Eve got clothed. Yeah. Whoa. Okay. And his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, and they hated him.
Hate.
Ooh. But also, they saw something that they wanted, And there's this jealousy there, right? This oozes, one, Cain saw that God loved Abel's offering more, and it oozes, Eve saw that the fruit looked good to her, so she took it, right? We see that they saw this thing, and they're about to do something about it, right? They hated him.
What's the difference between theme and hyperlink?
A theme is when it sounds similar but does not use the same word. A hyperlink is when they're using the exact same word.
Okay.
And they're like, hey, you guys, no, we're just going to keep using this exact same word. And we will get to a hyperlink someday, like that we can like just meditate on that one hyperlink. But this is like just us like glazing over the top of it. Yes, Nick?
Doesn't it kind of sound like Jacob and Esau? Like he hated him and he wanted his inheritance?
Yep. Oh, it just keeps getting better and better, guys. They just keep, okay. Still verse 4. And they could not speak to him on friendly terms. Yep. But also, like, there's this theme of, like, brothers trying to kill brothers. Just, it started in chapter 4, and it just keeps going, right? Or,
Would that be a theme then?
yes. That would be a theme. Then Joseph had a dream.
Oh.
Like Jacob.
Hey! And when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. And he said to them, please listen to this dream which I have had. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf rose up and also stood erect. And behold, your sheaves were gathered around mine and bowed down to my sheaf. Then his brother said to him, are you actually going to reign over us? Or are you really going to rule over us? So they hated him even more. How many times have we heard the word, like the phrase hated him?
3, 4?
3, 4? Yeah, like that seems like that's a running theme through this section, right? But it also seems like they're trying to hint back at, okay, like we've got brotherly hate going on. Listen to all of the stories of brotherly hate going through the book of Genesis and connect all of those to these and see how they are the same and see how they are different. We don't have time to go through all of that. I'm just trying to say that's what the scriptures are trying to do as you're reading this section, right? Okay. Now he had still another dream. So wait, how many dreams are we at? 2. Interesting. Okay, how many dreams did Jacob have? Do you remember when he saw a vision of heaven coming?
Yeah, that was.
Is that a vision or is that a dream? I don't even know.
He said he laid down and he slept.
So it was a dream. But it wasn't a hyperlink because they didn't mention dream in the Jacob story. So now it's just a theme, right?
The theme of dreams.
The theme of people having dreams. But this time he had 2 dreams and related it to his brothers. Interesting that they use the word relate, like relative, like it's a pun. No, okay, never mind. And said, lo, I've had still another dream, and behold, the sun and the moon and 11 stars are bowing down to me. Genesis 1. And, yep, oh my gosh. And he related it to his father and to his brothers, and his father rebuked him and said, what is this dream that you have had? Shall I and your mother and your brothers actually come and bow ourselves down before you to the ground? And his brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the saying in mind.
Crowned.
Sorry?
Crowned.
Crowned.
Adam, for dust you are, for dust you will return.
Ground, yes.
To the ground.
Thank you. Yes, Tricia. Very good. And I do believe that is the same. So it is 776. Okay, that is the same word. Let me go back and look at that other one. That's the same word. Hey, so I don't know if you guys use, yes, Blake.
So is there significance to every single hyperlink and every single theme?
Potentially.
Okay.
Here, do you remember when we talked about Chekhov's gun last time?
I don't think
Oh, you're here. Okay, so when an author writes a book, they are not forced to write anything. There is never a moment where like, well, I have to include such and such. They have a blank canvas to work with. Yes?
Yeah.
That means So could in verse 10, and related to his father and his brother, blah, 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 shall I and your mother and your brothers actually come and bow ourselves down before you? Does he have to include to the ground? No. So why does he? They have been sculpting. So if you guys recently had someone come, oh, you're about to have someone come through and talk about like how we got the Bible. Have you had that? Just did that? Okay. Did he talk about how the Torah is like oral tradition that was passed down, and then someone finally wrote it down? Yeah. Yes? Right? They had literally thousands of years to pass down these stories, or at least hundreds of years, to pass down these stories and craft them and decide which words were important and which ones were not. How many of you guys have had like a significant life story where you're like, I have to share this with every person I come in contact with for the next 3 weeks because everybody's going to want to know? Do you notice that your story gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and more succinct as you go?
Yeah, how about hey, where do you come from?
Yeah.
What do why this school?
My favorite one right now is, so how'd you meet your wife? That story has gone from being half an hour long to being 5 sentences long. And it's not a bad thing. It's called, not everybody wants the half-hour long version, right? And so because of that, I would like to give them all of the important details with none of the unimportant ones. These people have been working on what are the important details and what are the unimportant details for hundreds of years. You'd think they'd have, what's it called? We talked about this last time. When you are boiling a pot of something, reduced. They have reduced it down to its bare minimum of these are the details you need to get through this book.
I don't understand that exactly.
When you reduce something?
No.
Oh.
To that they were passing it down by
Oral tradition?
Oral,
So
taking out words.
So here's where it gets interesting. When you tell a story versus when you have something written down, there's a difference, right? The story doesn't always come out exactly the same, but the details of the story should still get across, right? And the important details get remembered because someone's like, wait, you forgot, and then they talk about that, right? And it's not just one person that's passing the story down. It's tens, hundreds, thousands of people that are all maintaining this story as they go through the ages, right? Until someone was like, why have we not written this down? Oh, nobody's had papyrus? I've got papyrus. Let's try and write this down. And then he gets 1, 2, the most important Genesis expert who's known the stories for the longest and has remembered them the best. And he sits down with them and he's like, okay, make sure you're not forgetting any of the details. And probably has a few people in the room that are like, wait, don't forget this.
Is that how we got the Old Testament? Because we did not cover that.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, interesting. Oh, fun. Okay.
We didn't get into too many specifics. He kind of just...
Yeah. Most scholars expect that the first time Genesis was written down in its entirety is sometime around the first exile. That's when they wrote it down, 735 BC. That's the first time they wrote it down in its entirety. It's not the first time they tried to write it down. It's not the first time that they shared the story. It's the first time they tried to write it down in its entirety. It doesn't make it any less holy or good. It just makes us have to realize our expectations about, when I was a child, I came to the scriptures thinking that these things floated down from heaven on pieces of paper in a codex like this. They were written down on papyrus, on scrolls, and possibly rewritten because someone was like, wait, you totally forgot this story. But they made sure that the important stuff got in. And the people that were reading it to each other were like, oh, yeah, this is God's word. It is that good. It is that holy. Wow. That's so good. Yes? Cool. All right, continuing onward. Ground. Yes. Okay. And his brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the saying in mind. Then his brothers went to pasture their father's flock in Shechem. Now, Shechem, we just talked about in... Do you guys remember the really awkward story in chapter 34 where Dinah goes to visit the women of the land and Shechem, who is named after the town that he lives in, or the town is named after him, we don't really know which, sees Dinah and takes her for himself. Hyperlinks anywhere. And then goes to his father and says, take this woman for me as my wife. I love her. Which you're supposed to see that and be like, something is off here. And the brothers sense that, and they see something's off, and they do something about it, which is not what you're supposed to do. And Jacob notices this and is like, there are so many hyperlinks, guys. We could go for an hour just on that. Long story short, when you see Shechem, you're like, oh, Shechem.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, like, oh, crap. Gnarly story that is really uncomfortable. Okay. And Israel said to Joseph, are not your brothers pasturing in Shechem? Come, I will send you to them.
Send you.
Hmm.
Can't think of exactly, but
Okay.
it really has a...
Yes, it has. Okay. And he said to them, I will go. Then he said to him, love it when that happens. Who said to who? Go now and see about the welfare of your brothers and the welfare of the flock. Why is he saying this a second time? There's another theme of second time. It's popped up twice now.
Wait, where is it before?
The first time was just the verse before. Come, I will send you to them. And he said to them, I will go. And he said, go now and see about the welfare of your brothers and the welfare of the flock, and bring word back to me. So he sent him from the valley of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. For the man asked him, what are you looking for? And he said, I am looking for my brothers. Please tell me where they are pasturing. Then the man said, they have moved from here, for I heard them saying, let us go to Dothan. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan. I don't remember Dothan anywhere. Do you? New details! Finally, we've gotten to something that's not like a hyperlink or a theme. Yeah? Okay, continuing. When they saw him from a distance, and before he came close to them, they plotted against him to put him to death.
Oh, plots.
Yeah.
Conspiracies to kill people.
That's a theme. So, the overwhelming motif right now is that we're experiencing a Cain and Abel story. Yes, no? That's the theme that we're supposed to be picking up for the most part. There are other themes in there, other themes, but the motif is we are experiencing a brother-hate-brother story. We know how this story kind of goes, and look, it's going almost exactly the same. The brothers are plotting to go kill their brother.
Such brotherly love.
It's like that Western. They've got their 6-shooter. Something's going to happen. He's going to have to kill the bad guy. And
It's also kind of like Jacob and Esau too. Esau planned to kill Jacob.
yes, so those hyperlinks have like multiplied, right? The theme has multiplied, right? So we're
Motif.
so they're part of that same motif. It's the older brothers versus the younger brother, and the older brother's going to kill the younger brother. That's like this like theme that has gone through, right? Okay. Are you guys enjoying this? Okay, cool. And they said to one another, here comes this dreamer. Now then, come and let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits.
There are other pits.
Yeah, there are other pits. Do you remember where the pits are? I remember where they are because I was like, why are there pits in this chapter? Genesis 14. So it's the battle of the 5 kings when Abraham shows up and rescues the king of Sodom from these 5 kings that win against the 4 kings, or the other way around. I can't remember which way it is. But so Abraham comes rescue him, and a whole bunch of the men fall into the pits. Why are those connected? That's a riddle for later. Got to keep going. We're trying to follow this main theme and motif. And we will say, a wild beast devoured him. How many beasts have been throughout the course of Genesis? Just a few. Okay. Then let us see what will become of his dreams. But Reuben heard this and rescued him out of their hands and said, let us not take his life. Well, there's no way we're getting to chapter 39 today. Let us not take his life. So wait, now where in the order of brothers is Reuben? He is the oldest brother. What other stories about Reuben do we know thus far in the story? Don't go forward, go backwards now. Reuben has been around since chapter 33. I would like to submit that the most important story we should be hearing about Reuben right now is from chapter 35, where it says, so Jacob went and his family, they escaped. Hang on, let's back up. Okay, this is like, because you see Reuben, you're like, oh, Reuben. So now you're seeing firstborn son and youngest son. And as opposed to the firstborn, throwing a pen, as opposed to the firstborn son saying, I'm going to kill my younger brother. He's the one saying, we can't kill this dude. I've seen this story before. It doesn't end well for the oldest brother. He's doing something right, but there's an ulterior motive here. Chapter 35. Okay. Let's back up. Let's back up. Let's back up. Where is it? Oh my gosh. Is it 34? I thought it was 35. Oh, it's right here. Okay. I think. Where is it? Chapter 35, verse 21. Let's start there. Then Israel journeyed on and pitched his tent beyond the Tower of Eder. No hyperlinks that you're supposed to see there, aside from setting up a tent, right? And it came about while Israel was dwelling in the land that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard of it. What? That's the last story we've heard about Reuben, is that he went and slept with his stepmom. Anybody uncomfortable? I'm uncomfortable. Yeah? And now Reuben's making a good choice. Now we have to sit with something. Is Reuben making this decision because he loves his brother and he sees the fact that the oldest brother killing the youngest brother is not a good line? Or is he seeing this because he wants to try to get back into the good graces with his dad because he just slept with his dad's wife? Do we know?
No.
Does the Bible tell us? No. Why? Yes, Nick.
Well, I just also want to point out, he's currently working with the sons of the lady he just slept with.
Oh, things are uncomfortable. Things are very uncomfortable for him and them and everyone. Yes? Yes. So, now let's go back to chapter 37 and continue reading. But Reuben heard this and rescued him out of their hands, 21, and said, let us not take his life. Reuben further said to them, shed no blood.
Shedding blood.
Now, that's a theme right through there. Throw him into the pit that is in the wilderness, but do not lay hands on him. Now, I would like to point out this is the second time we have seen the word hands as a hyperlink through here. I would like to point out that you could say any phrase that you would want, but if you use the word hands, face, like there's a whole bunch of hyperlinks tied to hands, face, head, heel, right?
Oh, and bring him back to his father. Isn't that about God's promise? Like God's promising to bring him back.
Yeah. Yes.
My study Bible says that Reuben lost his birthright for sleeping with the.
So there's a whole nother theme and motif that starts with Noah. Do you guys remember when Noah gets drunk after the ark story? First of all, can we talk about the fact, we see that and we're like, Noah, why would you go and get drunk and lay uncovered in your tent? What are you doing? You just got rescued by God. Let's have a little mercy on Noah in that instance. He just watched the entirety of all the humanity that he had ever known die. And my guess is that there were several people that were beating on the outside of the ark as they were drowning, and he had to listen to it, and so did his family. That's pretty traumatic. So let's have some mercy on Noah for that. But then Ham sneaks in and uncovers his father, right? Or Canaan. No, Canaan gets cursed. Ham is the one that sneaks in. Here's why. So there's a whole nother like scholarly like discussion in there. But this is the theme that's running through here, is that what Ham was attempting to do was sleep with Noah's wife, his mom. Uncovering someone's nakedness in the Old Testament is the equivalent of
Molestation.
yeah.
Does
There's
that happen later or earlier with Lot?
that happens later with Lot. You guys are seeing the themes. It's great. I'm so happy. So that theme happens where Noah has a kid, and what that kid's trying to do is usurp power from his brothers, because Ham is not the oldest brother. Ham is either the youngest brother or the middle brother. He's trying to steal the birthright. Yeah.
Where do we find that in this passage?
Because we were talking about Reuben. Reuben, because someone was, yes, you have a question.
So could you consider like the whole pursuit of like redemption and gaining favor a motif in this?
As we read through this, you're going to discover there are like 100, 150, 200 motifs all running through Genesis, all at the same time. And it's kind of like looking at light as a wave or a ray. You get to pick one of them and read through, and you can notice the other ones along the way, but you can't focus on all of them at the same time. It's impossible.
So what one are we focusing on?
Which one are we focusing on right now? I would like to focus on, which one am I focusing on? I would like to focus on the theme of we have 5 minutes left. The theme of
Thought we were on brothers.
we were on brothers. Let's focus on the theme of brothers. Yeah, let's keep going with that. Okay. So it came about when Joseph reached his brothers that they stripped Joseph of his tunic, the varicolored tunic that was on him.
Many-colored tunic.
And they took him and they threw him in the pit. Now the pit was empty without any water in it, and they sat down to eat a meal. And as they raised their eyes and looked, behold, a caravan of Ishmaelites was coming from Gilead with their camels bearing, why do they mention all these details? Aromatic gum and balm and myrrh on their way to bring them down to Egypt. And Judah? Why is Judah in the story?
He's a brother.
He's a brother. Where's the last time we heard about Judah? Chapter 34, when he murdered most of Shechem and stole all their wives and children. Yeah, he did that with Simeon too. So, what we know, not Judah. That's not what we heard about Judah. We heard about Judah. Where did we hear about Judah? The list of the brothers' wives at the end of 34. 35. Simeon and Levi are the ones that go and murder everybody in Shechem. Now, of the oldest brothers, who has all lost their birthright? Reuben, first. Simeon, the second. Levi, the third. Who now has the birthright? Judah, the fourth born. This is the quote-unquote oldest brother. All of the other oldest brothers have lost what they thought was theirs. Yes?
So another motif would be the passing of the birthright.
Mm-hmm. It's more like it's like a theme inside this motif of the brothers, right? Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is it for us to kill our brother and cover up his blood?" Now, part of me wonders if Joseph heard this while he was sitting in the pit. Yes? If you are sitting in a pit nearby your brothers, where you just got thrown in so they can have easy access to you and so nothing else can find you while you're sitting in this pit because they're out in the wilderness, right? What Judah is not asking is, man, how do we best take care of our brother? Judah is looking for profit. Where's the first place where we see someone do something bad thinking it's going to profit them? Adam and Eve. Eve saw that the fruit was good for eating and was pleasant to the eye, and so she took it and she ate it. What profit is it us to kill our brother and cover up his blood? Come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him, for he is our brother. Yep, hands again. For he is our brother, our own flesh and blood. And his brothers listened to him, probably because he's the birthright brother.
Flesh and blood.
Yes, indeed. Then some Midianite traders passed by. Why did we include Midianite traders? I'm so confused. So they pulled him up and lifted Joseph out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites. Wait, so is the Midianites or I'm confused.
Yeah.
For 20 shekels of silver. Now, hi, Steve. So good to see you. Thus they brought Joseph into Egypt. Now Reuben returned to the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, so he tore his garments.
Tear clothes earlier, I'm pretty sure.
What?
I just don't know where. Tearing clothes?
Yeah, tearing garments, but also, and he returned to his brothers and said, the boy, which that's a whole nother question for it, is not there. As for me, where am I to go? Now we see Reuben's real plot behind it. Where can I go if the boy's not there? But also, is this not a hyperlink back to something? Do you guys remember, where can I go? When Cain, after he kills his brother, and God meets Cain after he kills his brother, and Cain's like, God, you can't send me away. Where can I go? Everybody that sees me is going to know who I am, and they're going to kill me. Which is a whole nother discussion for a whole different day, because, wait, where are all these other people coming from? You guys see that? Yes? So they took Joseph's tunic, slaughtered a male goat,
Killed an animal.
and dipped the tunic in blood.
Could this be a hyperlink back to Jacob and Esau? Because that was all goat stuff.
Yes, Sam. Thank you. Yeah, because they put goat fur all over Jacob to make him seem like he was Esau, right? Oh.
They also killed, God killed some kind of animal to clothe Adam and Eve.
And it's so interesting, isn't it? And they sent the varicolored tunic and brought it to their father and said, we found this. Please examine it to see whether it is your son's tunic or not. Then he examined it and said, it is my son's tunic.
Isn't that exactly what happens to Jacob and Esau? I know they said that, but smell my hands, whatever.
It's the exact same story. It is my son's tunic. A wild beast has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces. So Jacob tore his clothes. We have 2 tearings of clothes in the span of 8 verses.
Is that a theme?
Maybe. And put sackcloth on his loins and mourned for his son for many days. Then all his sons and all his daughters arose to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, surely I will go down to Sheol in mourning for my son. So his father wept for him.
Could this be deception too, because he tore his clothes and then dipped it in the blood?
Why is it
Same thing as
Is he being Israel? Is he being Jacob? Do we know? Oh, now we have to sit with it, right? Meanwhile, the Midianites sold him in Egypt to Potiphar, Pharaoh's officer, the captain of the bodyguard. New details! Finally. We've made it through 1 chapter, and that's we're just going to have to keep going at this 1 chapter pace, guys. I'm sorry. Are you having fun? Yes. Do you feel like that made sense?
Yes.
Do you feel like you have a million questions to sit in for the next, day? Yes? Okay. Waha'a-o your way through the Bible like that, and you will never be bored as you read the scriptures, ever. There is always hyperlinks. There are always hyperlinks. There are always themes. There are always motifs going on.
You might get overwhelmed.
So you have to pick one and go with it. One of the things Tim Mackey talked about is he's like, one of my favorite things that I did going through college was I'd pick one theme and study it through the whole Bible and see where it pops up. And there are databases online that can help you with that, so you don't have to read the whole Bible as you do that. But like tree, you can go through the whole Bible and read about trees through the Bible, or brothers, or blood, or water, or the themes are endless. And as you study them through the scriptures, you will notice over and over again that people are hyperlinking back to probably Genesis. The other thing that Tim Mackey said that hit me really hard is, if you want to have a really good foundation for understanding the grasp of and the point of where Scripture is trying to go, read Genesis 50 times in a row and see what it does to you. As someone,
50 chapters in Genesis?
there are 50 chapters in Genesis. Read it 50 times and see what it does to you. Because when I did that, it changed my world. And you're like, you've read Genesis 50 times? Heck yeah. I've probably read it 100 times now, and it's getting better and better as I go. Yeah? Okay. All right. We're out of time for today. I got time for like one question, and then we gotta call it. Am I supposed to end at 45 or 50? Oh, whoops. We're over time. Any questions? Thoughts?
When are you coming back?
Great question. I don't know. I fill in whenever Rick asks me to. So if you guys want more of this, tomorrow's Saturday.
We have
Okay.
lessons there.
Do we just demand Rick for more ends?
If you want to, then let's do it. If not, don't worry about it. But I love this stuff. This is my favorite thing in the world to nerd out on. And I will gladly do it whenever you guys want to. So it doesn't just have to be in class. If you're like, wait, I have this hyperlink idea. Can we talk about it? The answer is almost always going to be yes, unless I have to be back with my family. Cool? Cool. Good talk. Let's pray, and then let's get out of here. Jesus, none of these hyperlinks or themes or motifs are important if you're not in them. Would you be in this, Holy Spirit, as we read your word going forth from here? We want our thoughts to line up with your thoughts. We want our ideas to line up with your ideas. How is this important? Why does this matter to you? Get us there. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you guys for this time. It's been an honor.
And I know you said you're not supposed to like hyperlink forward, but my brain is not hyperlink forward. Like literally, there was so much stuff. It was exactly what I was reading. You know Jeremiah?
Yeah.
Like Jeremiah gets cast in the pit.
Yeah.
When you're saying, I was like literally like Jeremiah dreams a dream, tells everybody about it, gets